Here we are at the beautiful entrance to Greenland's Botanical Garden, and today we're going to show you how to make a fresh cut bouquet. So here we are at the Limelight Hydrangeas. We're going to chop some of these babies for our fresh cut arrangements. So when you're cutting these, you want to make sure that you're going to go and get as much stem as possible. So we're going to go right down to here. You want to leave those bottom leaves because that's where the plant's going to collect the energy to continue to grow and store its energy for the winter. So we're going to cut quite a few of these in order to put them into a vase. So when you get this stem like this, what you're going to do is you're going to strip these leaves off so you've got a nice clean stem to put in that vase. You're going to cut it at a diagonal, and then we're going to collect them and put them in some vases. Hi there, now that we've just gotten back from the beautiful botanical garden, we're going to start arranging some of these flowers. So first of all, what you want to do is you want to make sure that all of the flowers get a nice good drink of water. They want to sit and slurp that up for quite some time, especially the hydrangeas. If you're planning on using these in an event, try and get them soaked for about 24 hours. And there is a couple of really good tips in order to get them the best hydration that you possibly can. And one of them is just snipping them at an angle at the bottom. If you can't get to the florist to get the proper sort of floral food, this alum product, you can get it in the pickling section, or sometimes you can find it in the baking section at your local grocery store. It works perfect. So what it does is it opens up the capillaries of your cut flower so that it can get a really good drink of water. So I've chosen this vessel. We're going to do a lot of glassware today because glassware is just typically what we put arrangements in, but because we've got a nice selection pulled from the botanical garden that's really quite prairie and country, I wanted to choose a vessel that will reflect some of those flowers. So I've chosen this sort of clay traditional vase shape, and we're going to start by putting some flowers in here to create an arrangement for you. So we're going to start off with this lovely Ninebark. Take a look at your evergreens, take a look at your shrubs, really pay attention to color and texture, and often those can incorporate into something truly unique and long-lasting. So again, we're going to go with this Ninebark. I really love this sort of burgundy brown sort of tone to it. And you want to make sure when you're putting the florals into their container that you strip the bottom leaves off. That's going to prevent bacteria from forming in the water, and that's going to keep the water cleaner longer and your flowers longer lasting. So I'm just going to snip off a couple of these little bottom branches here. And often when I'm arranging, I don't just go like boop. Well, sometimes I do. But for the most part, I angle my cuts in so that they create a weave at the bottom so that when you start incorporating the flowers, they're going to stay in whichever formation you wish them to. They're going to interlock. So we're just going to grab a couple. So when I picked these Ninebarks, I made sure that I cut them right down at the base here, and I gave myself enough stem that I could either do it in a tall vase or I could cut it down into a shorter vase. And then I just strip the greens off the bottom again, just to ensure that it is a nice clean cut that's going to go into the water. And again, I'm sort of angling it as I put it in. And you know, just like fitsy fart around with the stems so that they all kind of match, and trust your eyes and trust your guts when you're arranging. They'll tell you what you like. So I'm going to put about 4 pieces, 3 around the edge. And 1 center one here. And already that's pretty. I mean, I like things just like, oh, I'm super nonchalant. I've gone to the garden, snippy, throw it in a vase. So it's a good base. And then we're going to add, I think we're going to add some of this Echinacea because look at it. It's just like, pow, so pretty. So I'm going to snip off this bottom. I'm going to snip off these bottom leaves, cut it at a bit of a diagonal. I've already used the alum powder on all of these. when I put them into their vases. So I'm not going to really dunk it into this one. Just make sure every 2 days that you're checking your water to make sure that it's clean. Again, we're just going to snip. And I'm going to just move this around. It's going to be a very traditional sort of cottage arrangement. Next, I think I might, well, let's just see. Some people might go, "Gah!" But I think it's kind of cool. So I'm going to do this Liatris as well. And I think Liatris should be a staple perennial in everyone's garden. If you like cut flowers, they last forever. I have mine growing in partial shade as well as full sun. The bumblebee bees love them. I think I'm going to add just a little bit of a grassier element. So from this Turkish burning bush is a shrub that you can plant, and it gets these beautiful little bells on them, and they're just such pretty little flower. They just glow orange, like little tiny lanterns that droop. So, but the flower was already spent on this, so I've just got the greenery. But isn't that just a nice light greenery? And we're going to just interdisperse that just to make it look a little more cottage country. For this container, we're just going to keep it that simple. Because you could just keep going and building, but I want to show you some other little vases that we have as well. So we've talked about the care of hydrangeas and how to keep them fresh and long lasting. So now I'm just going to show you a really quick, simple arrangement that we can do with them. And it's simply just, again, angling and placing the hydrangeas in clean, clear water in a beautiful vase. These are cut quite short because it is a hot day today. So if I wanted to have longer stems, I'd really want to soak these. And you could, the best thing to do for something that if you want to leave them long is put them in a lukewarm bath and let them soak from stem to the full blossom, and just let them soak there for like a half an hour, if you can longer, a little bit longer. Shake them off, let them dry, give them a fresh cut, put them in a vase. So hydrangeas on their own are just so poofy and elegant. You don't need a whole lot more, but I'm just going to show you a few other greens that I've pulled from the garden that we can tuck in there just to add a little bit of interest. Okay, so these were Siberian Iris. So obviously the bloom has gone away, but you can still appreciate all of these flowers in your garden because the foliage is so super wonderful. Like, look at that nice lush grass. So we're going to incorporate that with the hydrangea just to give us some interest. We're just going to poke that through that little grid that we've got going on. If you wanted to turn it into something a little bit more exotic, we do have these large Rodgersia leaves. I will often cut a Rodgersia leaf and just make a handheld bouquet for my friends if I'm heading over to a barbecue or whatever. That, and I also have a lot of Bugbane in my yard, and I like this dark purple, and everyone finds it interesting. So it just takes one of your Rodgersia leaves and a few of these Bugbanes, and you can just sort of tuck them in and around. And then you can add some flowers to that as well. Some more Echinacea. And it's just like using a vase. You just kind of twist and turn. And if you go in with sort of no plan and you just pick flowers from your garden, it's pretty amazing the combinations that just sort of arise as you gather and pick, actually. I'm going to use some of this Russian Statice. It's lovely. I like the smell of it. It's kind of this musty. Everybody loves the smell of musty, but it's kind of it's sage and musk. Delicious. Not totally totally sure if I'm loving the exotic-y looking leaf with the country looking mix, but it's kind of cool. And when you give a handheld bouquet to your friends that's just gathered out of your garden, it gives them the option of taking it apart and putting it together any which way they want in their own vase. Okay, I'm just gonna grab this Beebalm as well, because check this color out. And it smells so delicious. The bumblebee bees love Beebalm as well. And just sort of, you know, twist your hand around, poke it in. And there you go, just a nice little handheld bouquet to take to your friends right from the garden. So there's just a couple other things I want to show you real fast if you're feeling a little frightened off by the joop 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 of the hand tie and the vase arrangement. But don't be afraid, it's really simple. Just get out there, pick flowers, and enjoy arranging. They always look good if they're fresh and they're pretty. But we have a few containers or vases that are on trend, which I also really quite love. And they're these little test tubes. So people are using these to propagate little plants in our annual area as well, which is lovely because they look so pretty with just a nice little green leaf sticking out of them. It's just really simple and elegant. But if you wanted to do a little bit more, you could use them as a little centerpiece and use them for cut flowers as well. So I would probably choose something a little bit daintier for these. These alliums are a little past their prime, but they're sweet. So if you just want to do something very, very simple, you could cut the alliums and just have them, I think my favorite word for flowers is nonchalant. You know, you could just do them either all allium at different heights. If you wanted to fancy them up just a tiny bit, you could use maybe another little complimentary yarrow. So if you have any comments or further questions about anything you've seen today, feel free to call us or email us or write a comment below.